To all our participants, feel free to also share with us where you're joining us from, which county or institution.
Okay, Marcy, I guess it's high time we start, right?
Yes.
All right. Now, a very good evening to our guest speakers, partners, and everyone joining us live today on the Zoom platform and YouTube Live from all corners of the world for this much anticipated event organized by the Pezetu Kenya community in partnership with the Strathmore University IT Students Association, Workpay Africa, the International School of Advertising, the Finance and Investment Students Association at University of Nairobi, the Kenya University's Female Students Leaders Association on how to establish business ventures. Once again, I want to officially welcome you all and kindly request those joining us on Zoom to please mute their microphones at all times unless called upon to speak. My name is Benson Odhiambo Mbogo, and I will be moderating today's discussions and interactions with the help of my able co-host, Marcy Nyaga. Now, Pezetu is an initiative housed under Hillmore Ventures, an organization that aims to invest in young people through a series of practical training, storytelling, and providing needed resources that empowers them to create opportunities for themselves and future generations. We aim to empower millennials and youths, both men and women rather, to have deep knowledge of financial matters that drive financial health and long-term financial wealth. Pezetu is run and championed by university students themselves, willing to be part of driving change and self-driven opportunities without waiting to be spoon-fed by anyone or the society. We are building a financial literacy movement for university students and millennials. Ladies and gentlemen, today we are excited to host young, accomplished entrepreneurs who are not only inspiring change in the world of entrepreneurship, but are also impacting lives by creating job opportunities and investing in young people. We will get to learn from their journey as entrepreneurs and hope we'll all get inspired. Once again, ladies and gentlemen, karibuni. And at this juncture, I would like to introduce our speakers of the day. The first speaker will be Dr. Darshan Chandaria. Now, I'll quickly go through his profile. Now, Dr. Darshan Chandaria is the CEO, Group CEO and Director of Chandaria Group and Chandaria Industries. Over the past 10 years, Darshan has built Chandaria Group into one of the largest and most diversified business groups in Africa. Today, the group's operations include tissue paper and hygiene products manufacturing, real estate, venture capital, insurance, banking, automobile manufacturing, mining, and solar energy generation. The group employs over 3,000 people across Kenya, Tanzania, Uganda, India, the United Arab Emirates, and the United Kingdom. Darshan founded Chandaria Capital in 2017, a venture capital fund that today has over 15 portfolio companies spread across Africa and beyond. Our second speaker for the day will be Mr. Paul Kimani. Paul Kimani is a techpreneur whose passion and goal is to make small businesses run in an efficient and effective way. He is the founder and CEO of Workpay Africa, which offers payroll, benefits, and HR solutions for Africa. And last but not least, joining us is Ms. Betty Kialo. Betty Kialo is one of East Africa's celebrated journalists and TV personality. Now, away from the media, she's an accomplished entrepreneur running one of Nairobi's leading beauty parlor, barbershop, and women's fashion line. As an influential media and online personality, she has dedicated her platforms to showcase content that intersects between culture, media, and societal progress. Ladies and gentlemen, I don't know if you're all excited as I am today, as we get to hear from these young, brilliant, and accomplished entrepreneurs. Thank you. Now, at this juncture, I would like to introduce our keynote speaker, Dr. Darshan Chandaria, to give his keynote speech and maybe take a few questions later from the audience. Welcome, Dr. Darshan Chandaria.
Thank you very much, Benson. It's an honor to be here today. So firstly, good afternoon to everyone. It's not the easiest time to get people onto a call Saturday afternoon, but thank you very much for everybody who's joined. My name is Darshan Chandaria. I'm the Group CEO of Chandaria Group and Chandaria Industries. We have a very interesting story about our family business in the group, which started out in the 1950s. Started by my grandfather, who unfortunately passed away last year. We are third generation, that's my brother and myself, and today we have my dad with us also. So the group is fully run by the three of us. I joined the business in 2009 and my brother joined the business in 2011. So we came into a business, that from very humble beginnings already was fairly sizable in 2009. When I joined the business, we were in the tissue paper and hygiene business and a little bit of real estate. The journey from that point has been very interesting. To start with, maybe one key fact: we had 500 employees at that point in time. Today we have over 3,000. We were present in 2 countries when I joined. Now we're present in over 6. And so what did we do? I mean, I think naturally being an entrepreneur, and I think just the family being naturally entrepreneurial, we saw opportunities in multiple sectors. So we carved out a strategy to say, shall we go after these opportunities ourselves, or shall we also invest, in some entrepreneurs and help them build their businesses? We quickly realized that there were so many fantastic entrepreneurs on the continent, and just even starting with Kenya, right? Very talented entrepreneurs who were far better than we were at executing and being successful in some of these businesses and sectors. So I think the first natural expansion, in our diversification and investment strategy came with Mobius Motors. That was the first company I invested in as an angel investor. I love the entrepreneur. I thought the idea was a little bit crazy. My board thought the idea was a little bit crazy, but I think we backed the entrepreneur. And today Mobius is, a successful venture running on its own. And it's been an inspirational story for many people. And thereafter, many businesses followed. I mean, just to name some of the stars of the Chandaria Capital portfolio today, both across Africa and here, in Kenya, we have Kobo 360, the logistics company. We have Soko Watch, the tech-enabled FMCG company. We have Elara Health, which is all about health tech. And we have Savannah Brands, which is creating alcoholic, non-alcoholic beverages. And one from Lion's Den that we're actually very keen to work with and happy and proud to be associated with is Desserts Anyone. Martin's doing a fantastic job. We've actually given him a space in one of our properties, one of the warehouses under the Chandaria Properties ownership just down the road from us. We continue to mentor, guide, and be an investor in his business. So in short, really, that's how Chandaria Capital, was born. We're proud to say that we would probably be considered today as one of the leading venture capital funds in Africa. 15 investments in over 8 different sectors that are very interesting, for sectors we never thought we would actually get into ourselves, but we've gone there because of great entrepreneurs. So I think, and how has the journey been for me, right? I mean, our core business remains Chandaria Industries, the tissue hygiene paper business. We continue to grow that. We are East and Central Africa's largest manufacturer and distributor in this space. We're now opening our doors up to have strategic partnerships with multinationals such as Colgate, Nivea, Unilever, Henkel, Persil. So we're building a very robust, a very strong distribution network across Kenya, Tanzania, and East Africa in that business. But I think personally, what I'd just like to maybe close off by saying is that success is not a destination. It's a continuous journey. There is no shortcut to success. You've got to put in the hours. You've got to make the sacrifices. And I think to state the facts, and as I often just speak openly about it, I mean, I've had to make a lot of sacrifices, especially in my social life, my personal time, my family time. So what I would like to, say, to all of you, if I don't get the chance, to do that later on in this discussion, is surround yourself with like-minded people, surround yourself with people who understand your ambition, and surround yourself with people who appreciate what you are doing and that will add value to you. Thank you. Sorry, Benson, I think you're on mute.
All right, sorry about that. Thank you so much for that. We have a few structured questions for you. I don't know if you mind taking a few now.
No, sure, I'm good. I'd like to take some that you have and some that the audience may have as well.
Absolutely, thank you. Now, the first question, where do you see yourself in 5 years?
So that's a very good question. I mean, I think today, look, we're involved in so many businesses, so many sectors, so many markets. I think we want to be the best at everything we do. And the reason I say this is when we create successful businesses, when we create successful companies, the knock-on impact that has to our stakeholders is just phenomenal, right? Starting from our employees, the better we are, the more successful we are, the better lives our employees can lead. I get so much satisfaction in seeing our employees take their children to better schools, buy their first car, buy their first home. Our customers, as we grow, our customers grow as well. We're improving their lives. Our suppliers, our banks, the government, everybody grows with us. So we want to be number one, at everything we do. We already are at Chandaria Industries number one in Eastern Central Africa. We are building a $50 million factory at Tartu City, which will be up and running in the next 2 years. That's about 5.5 billion shilling investment. It'll be the first of its kind in Eastern Central Africa. There is only one factory of its kind in South Africa. So we are very excited, and that will basically make us top 3 tissue and hygiene product manufacturers on the continent. At Chandaria Capital, we are looking to triple our investment amount, which currently stands at over about 800 to 900 million shillings invested in our portfolio companies. So we will be looking at investing in excess of 2 billion shillings just in Africa on the continent in startups and promising entrepreneurs.
All right, amazing. Thank you so much. And now the second question, what lessons can young people draw from your entrepreneurial journey in terms of building effective networks?
So networks, I think, is one of the most important ingredients in success. I can't stress this enough. I think if you were to ask me what my most valued asset is today, it is my network. The fact that I can pick up, the phone to anybody in the country, any other CEO, any other business owner, any other executive, and anybody at any organization, organizational level, or at any company, and just say, look, I need help with X, I need help with Y. I think there's an opportunity here for us to collaborate, and that comes as you build a lot of trust and respect with people, right? A lot of people, as they achieve success, start to become a little bit arrogant, inaccessible, and I think this is a big learning curve for all entrepreneurs. You've got to be humble, you've got to stay grounded, and you've got to help people because it's your responsibility as a leader, right? The fact that you're successful, you've got to do it. So I think people should attend as many events as they can, events such as this. Come and listen to leaders speak, come and engage with leaders. I still today listen and log into a lot of, right now it's all digital, right? But pre-COVID, I was attending as many events as I could, wherever I could, to network, learn from entrepreneurs. And today it's more digital. It's even easier, right? From the comfort of your home. I'm actually at home today, and a lot of us probably would be at home today, dialing in and having this discussion, and it feels like we're just together in a room. So networking is extremely important. The more people you know, the more people you can rely on, the more people that trust you, the higher your chances of success, without a doubt.
Wow, thank you. Now the next question is a two-type question. Now, when did you first think that you could be an entrepreneur, and what would you tell that young entrepreneur who doesn't have $1 billion, wants to be like you, and doesn't have your name?
It's a good question. So I think I became an entrepreneur from primary school, right? I used to sell, and I still remember this very, very well. There's these famous tropical mints that were very famous. I think we all know those tropical mints, the green colored ones, right? So I would buy them at, I think in those days when I was at school, from between about 1999 to 2005, I would buy them at, I think they were 50 cents, and I would sell them at 1 shilling 50 because sweets were banned at school. So you had to pay a premium if you wanted a sweet, and I realized everything has a supply and demand, right? And I think that was from very early days. It just used to give me a thrill. Just business and selling has given me a thrill from very, very early on in my career, to be honest with you. Now, what would I say to somebody who has $1 billion and doesn't have the name? The fact that you have the capital, you've got to have the drive, you've got to have the commitment, and you've got to have an idea that can work. If you execute your idea well, if you're committed to it, if you've studied the market, the competition, and what is unique about your product, you're going to be successful. When you're successful, the name will follow. So don't worry about the name. The name should be the last of your, the name and reputation should be the last of your worries, right? And even if you just have a great idea, right? If you have a great idea and you start networking with people, that's how you get investment, right? I mean, the 15 companies in our portfolio today, the reason we found them was through networking, right? They networked, they found a contact, to contact us, and we're in their businesses.
Right, thank you. And now the last question before Marcy takes over to take more questions from the audience. Now, a number of CEOs focus on the commercial aspects of their businesses. You are one of the few CEOs, rather, who put significant stress on the social impact that businesses have on the community and stakeholders. What's your philosophy when it comes to giving back to the people?
So I think this is a value entrenched in me by my family. Both my mom and dad have really pushed this to say, look, you are benefiting from running a business in an environment and with a community. And apart from giving them great products at great prices, coming out with some innovation, there must be some other benefits, right? We have to be thankful. We are fortunate because of this environment and this community today to be where we are. So empowering people, giving to the less fortunate. We strongly, strongly believe in healthcare and education. We support over 35 schools across Kenya alone. We do that in all the countries we operate in. For example, there's a school named after my father opposite our head office in Babadogoro called MM Chandaria Primary School. We bought the land, we built the factory, so we built the school, we funded everything. Every day, 1,800 students go to school there. We pay the teachers' salaries, we pay for all the educational material. So very close to our hearts. Education and healthcare is a basic starting point that we believe everybody should have access to, even those who can't afford it, and that's what we're doing. Come to the environment, right? Let's look at it. The Masai Mara in Kenya is the 8th wonder of the world, widely considered an amazing asset, right? We've all enjoyed it. We've all been able to touch nature, feel it, but we want future generations to be able to do the same. The rate at which we are going sometimes with our deforestation, etc., we're going to wipe out one of the most amazing sites in the world. So very big on education, healthcare, and environmental conservation. We are at Chandaria Industries the largest recycler of paper waste. We recycle more than 80,000 kilos of waste paper every day. We have saved the deforestation of 22 million trees over the last 30 years of our recycling journey.
Great, thank you. I think at this juncture, I'll hand over to Marcy Nyaga, who will take more questions from the audience. If you may, Marcy.
Yes, Ben. Thank you to everyone who has joined us. We've at least been able to reach over 200 now. For those who are on the live stream, feel free to type the questions. This is not pre-recorded, it's a live stream, so we welcome your questions, your comments, and I'll take a few specific to you. Many are looking forward to learn today. They are really thrilled to see you today on call and that they're able to engage you directly. I don't know if you have an email for those who want to, reach out to you. You can maybe share with us and we'll definitely reach out to them. The one key comment has been they are impressed by the humility you've been able to maintain. And I think you stressed the issue of accessibility, maintaining it as an entrepreneur. So I'll pick a few questions. The first one was, how do you maintain all those investments? I think usually we're told, focus, have one thing at a time. So how do you manage all the investments?
Well, the truth is, just being an entrepreneur, I just want to do multiple things at the same time. If I don't have multiple challenges in my life, I just get bored, to be honest, right? I want to get a business established, I want to get the systems and processes running, and I want to move on to the next challenge. So I think, sort of from my perspective is really to say that it is very important to build teams, okay? Get people in that you can trust, motivate them, just make sure that, you're on the same wavelength, they're thinking alike like you, you're able to trust them. So building teams, empowering them is very, very important. And I think I'm very fortunate that I have very strong teams around me in all the businesses that we run. Now, don't get me wrong, that doesn't mean to say that, your life is easier. the more you do, the more you have to put in, the more you have to work, the more you have to be on top of the ball, the more reports you have to look at, the more you have to be able to feel the pulse of a business. I'm a very hands-on type of business leader. I do not believe that business should only be conducted in a boardroom. If you're a shareholder or a CEO, I like to feel the pulse of every business I'm in. I'm often on the factory floor. I'm often at entrepreneurs' premises. I'm often with entrepreneurs and their customers, understanding customer needs. I think that's very important. So I think you've got to build a team. And I think, let's look at some of the most successful entrepreneurs globally, right? That are in multiple sectors and multiple businesses. They've built strong teams around them. And we continue to do that. And I think really the answer is that if you have the appetite, if you've got the ambition, if you've got the drive and you're able to commit yourself to building more and more, I mean, we're probably going to add another 5 companies into our portfolio just within the next 6 to 9 months, right? So our portfolio and what I have to handle just keeps getting bigger and bigger, and you just have to make sure you're on top of it.
I think with what you've described, it must be quite a busy schedule. So how do you manage work-life balance?
Yeah, that's a good question, and often it becomes a very, very blurry line, right? Your family, your friends have got to accept that you have a very busy, schedule. You've got a very, very busy lifestyle. Your schedule could change, right? I mean, there's often times where I commit to my family and friends that I'll be meeting you for a meal, I'll be meeting you socially, and then something comes up and you're like, hey, actually, hold on, I need to cancel. That's part of it, that's part of life. You've got to set your priorities for yourself, right? I know very successful entrepreneurs who say, actually, I'm going to switch off at 7 p.m. as an example, and I don't want to know what's going on in my business until 8 a.m. the next morning. I'm switching off. That's my family time. That's, me time. And I mean, look, it just works differently for everyone, right? But I just think with technology today, we are more reachable. With technology today, things the opportunities are there for a shorter period of time. Things can get out of control in a shorter period of time. So I think you've got to find the right balance for you. But for sure, I can tell you, for me, there is no shortcut. There's a lot of hours put in, and there's a lot of sacrifice put into the other elements of my life. But obviously, as time goes on, yes, you also must find a balance. You must, say at some point when you've got too much going on and the greatest opportunity comes to you, you have to say, actually, hold on, I'm not going to get into this, or I'm not going to pursue this opportunity because I just don't have the bandwidth.
Okay. We'll have another question from the Zoom call. Don, you may unmute your mic and ask your question.
Thank you for this opportunity. My name is Don Kamoya. I'm from Switzerland, and I also happen to be the president of Strathmore University. We have a huge following from Strathmore who have joined us virtually, and this is a business school. So my question to you, Dr. Darshan, is that what would you advise young upcoming business people who have very minimal capital and they aim to grow and make a wonderful impact in this country? Thank you.
Thank you, Don. And as you know, I have a very special relationship with Strathmore. I've done a lot, sat on various advisory councils over the years. So this is a very important point. And I can tell you, for example, when I started Chandaria Capital, I had to put my own money in, right? And this was something that the board said that they just wouldn't fund from a group level perspective. They wanted to see some traction. And because I believed in it, I believed in the concept, I had to start it myself. I think the most important thing that you must understand and must look at when you are starting out is you need to be confident to a certain extent. There's always going to be an element of risk, but you need to be confident that your business plan, for example, might entail a number of products. Invest in the product that you believe is going to give you the best returns in the shortest period of time. So as an example, at Chandaria Industries, we have tissue products, we have liquid products such as sanitizers, hand washes, we have cotton wool, we have aluminium foil, cling film, and packaging products, right? It goes on, the list goes on. If I was starting that business today, I would look at my business plan and say, actually, you know what? I think it's going to be, for example, toilet tissue that is going to give me the most sales and probably the best return in the shortest period of time. So once you get the business going with that capital and your capital starts growing, then you can, for example, say, now I'm going to start cotton wool, or I'm going to start aluminium foil. I hope that answers your question, but you've got to be very disciplined and you've got to back the product or service that you believe is going to give you the most mileage in the shortest period of time?
Thank you so much for responding.
Okay, so we'll wrap up with two joint questions from the live. What would you advise someone who wants to expand? I'm sure you're based mainly in Nairobi, so how do you expand beyond Nairobi to reach all the corners of the country? And then you may close with sharing maybe what has been your biggest challenge or frustration in your journey of doing business in Kenya.
Sure. So it's a good question. How do you expand geographically, whether it is within the same country to other counties or cities, or how do you actually grow from one country to another? So once you get the business model right for one product or service, the likelihood of it succeeding in the same country in different cities or counties is very, very high. As a simple example, Velvex toilet tissue and the Velvex brand of products is, very well known as a leading premium tissue and hygiene brand across Kenya and East Africa. When we expanded our product offering into sanitizers and hand washes, the brand had an element of trust. We were able, for example, to successfully start in Nairobi and launch it. The minute we saw that there's traction, the product is accepted. People like everything from the packaging to the quality of the product. We were very quickly able to roll it, roll it around the country, basically, and just basically say, okay, you know what, this is good and it's a fit. What you have to take into consideration, though, is there are certain specific, preferences, let's call them, across the country from different parts. So, for example, the population mix in Mombasa is quite different to Nairobi. So you've got to understand what is it that will work better in Mombasa. The temperatures, the weather is different, right? So depending on what kind of business, if you're in the food and beverage segment, you've got to make sure that you take this into consideration. So you've got to make sure you take into account those specific differences. I think the other thing that you really need to understand is the logistics cost, right? So if you're working on a product that is very sensitive to transport, in our case, which it is, our tissue products are very lightweight but very voluminous. You've got to say to yourself, okay, am I going to charge the same price across the country? Or am I going to have one price which makes sure that I can cater for all my costs and anybody anywhere in the country can buy my products? And that's what we've done, right? We've developed scale over a period of time, and you can buy our product at the same price anywhere in the country. I hope that answers your question. That's a very good question, by the way. We can talk about this for long, but I think just understand the nuances, if any, depending on the the market you're in between cities. I think challenges, I think here in this country has have been, obviously, look, there are numerous challenges, and we can blame our issues, we can blame problems on a lot of external factors, but I think you've got to look internally and say, okay, how robust are my processes and systems? How good are we at facing challenges? I think one thing that I would say that I could probably improve on individually to start with is probably delegate a bit more. So like I mentioned, I'm a very micro style. I like to be very involved, and I think I'm realizing sort of that sometimes you can miss a little bit of the bigger picture because you're just so day-to-day involved. So I think that I would like to really improve on focusing now with some of my businesses on more the strategic outlook, more the strategies, rather than just getting involved in the day-to-day elements. I think one other challenge that I would like to talk about, obviously, but which is being addressed, is the infrastructure. I think if you look back a few years ago, it was quite expensive, as road networks were not as developed. Traffic in different cities and especially Nairobi was pretty bad. Not to say, okay, it's not bad today, but it was worse, right? So I think the logistics of getting products to our customers in time was something that also we worked hard on, and we've been able to overcome that problem. So yeah, I think that's what I'd like to say.
Thank you so much for answering the questions. I think right now we'll just dive into the panel discussion. Ben, you may introduce our panelists.
Absolutely. Thank you, Mercy. Thank you so much. And thank you, Deshan Chandaria, for those wonderful insights into the world of business and entrepreneurship. In fact, I wanted to ask about venture capital, but I'm pretty sure we'll have enough time to talk about that. Right. Now, as I said earlier, we have 3 panelists today. The first one just spoke, Dr. Darshan Chandaria. We have Betty Kialo, a media personality and entrepreneur. And we have Mr. Paul Kimani, a techpreneur, CEO and founder of Workpay Africa. Now, I think I'll give Mercy the first opportunity to ask the first round of questions, and we'll do this in an alternating manner, rather. Yes, please, Mercy.
So I'll request our panelists to introduce themselves and share about their ventures and something small about the entrepreneurship journey. Mr. Paul Kimani, you may go first, and thereafter we'll have Miss Betty.
Great, thank you, Mercy, and Benson and Pezetu team. Thank you for having us. So, as I said, my name is Paul Kimani. I'm the CEO at Workpay. We are a HR payroll software company based here in Nairobi. Essentially, what you're doing is you're helping companies to manage their people all the way from time to payments. My background is in electrical engineering. That is what I schooled in, but I'm an entrepreneur by profession because I've not done any electrical work since I did that, but I've been in entrepreneurship since I was in campus. So probably to give a little bit about my journey, I started my first venture when I was my 4th year at the University of Nairobi. I was doing electrical engineering. I built my first venture. I made a co-founder. Did it for 1 year, did not go so well. I had to sort of defer for 1 year, then went back to school, finished, and then I worked as a project manager in an air conditioning company here in Nairobi. Then after 1 year, I left my employment and then founded a dev shop where I was sort of building softwares and applications for small and medium-sized businesses. And that's how we're able to now build our Workpay from there, from the experiences that we got from there. And it's really exciting to be here and looking forward to the discussion.
Thank you so much, Paul. I think, Betty, you can take the stage.
All right, you can hear me?
Yes,
Absolutely.
and you look lovely.
Well, thank you so much. First to say that I'm really honored to be part of this. The minute I was asked, I did not even think about it. It was a go for me. So I'm so happy that you guys, invited me. So thank you. So it's a very weird time, Saturday at 4 p.m. So, but it's good, we're here. So, okay, fine. So let me just introduce myself. Betty Kialo, and gosh, what am I? I'm a journalist. Studied at Daystar University, and then started as an intern at KTN, and that's how I got my my footing in the media industry. From KTN, I worked at KTN for about 8 years, and then I moved to K24, where I worked for I think 2 years, and I left. And apart from being a media personality, I'm also an entrepreneur. I think that is it has been a fantastic journey, doing something away from what I actually studied for. So I studied for mass communication, but here I am pursuing, entrepreneurship, business, something I've not even gotten any schooling from or for. So yeah, but here we are. So I'm the CEO of Flair by Betty. It's a salon, spa and barber. We're based here on Rose Avenue. Apart from that, I'm also the CEO of Aftershave by Flair, which is just a few months old, so our baby. Aftershave by Flair is a barbershop. It's just like an express barbershop. It's like an express Flair by Betty for men. It was an interesting journey, especially with Aftershave, because I realized more and more men want to look good. Yeah, so I was like, let me just tap into that. They want to look good now more than they used to before. So I thought that needed to be a nice, deviation. So apart from that, I'm also a mom, obviously, to Ivana, my daughter. And it's also a fantastic journey. It's also work by itself, but it's amazing. Apart from that, also I'm the CEO of BK Closet. BK Closet is my clothing line, which is a few months old, and it's doing really great. The reason I started BK Closet is because there's so many people who been on TV for all those years, almost 10 years. So many people used to, tell me, BK, I want your dress. BK, where did you get that? So I was like, wait, this is actually a business opportunity. How about, sorry for that. I hope I didn't lose it. I just got a call. And so I just decided, how about I just, I venture into this and actually dress people, the way I would dress myself. So it's also another business venture that is amazing. Apart from that, also, I own some spaces in the city center, whereby we're doing commercial spaces. That is my latest venture. And it's also going on well. So I think in a nutshell, that is who I am. Yeah. And overall, I think I'm a pretty fun human being to be around. Yeah, that's it. Thank you.
Okay, I yield the floor back to Ben. There will be a few panel discussion questions, and thereafter we'll take more questions from the live audience.
All right. Thank you so much, Marcy. Thank you so much, Paul, for that introduction. Thank you so much, Beatty, for that wonderful introduction. Once again, Dashan, thank you so much. And congratulations, Beatty, on Aftershave. Actually watched the launch and it was wonderful. It was brilliant, stunning, amazing.
You.
I must say the future. Right, I must say the future is bright, and with young, brilliant entrepreneurs like you, I'm so glad I'm part of this generation. All right, absolutely. And now to the second question, I think Beatty will go first. Now, when did you first think that you could be an entrepreneur?
Well, that's an interesting.
Right.
Yeah, it's an interesting question because I never even thought I would ever do this. It was not in my blood. It was more of my sister, Mercy Kialo, who has yellow leather. It was more of her thing. I remember Mercy used to, we used to live in Rongai, so we had a shamba. So I remember that, so many years back, she used to plant broccoli. And I was like, what are you doing? So she had she had a, a nudge for business more than me. But then for me, I think it caught on because there's a time I went for this conference, something just like this. And I remember the host spoke about having different streams of income. And I was like, my goodness, if I lose my job today in the media industry, who am I going to go to? How will I forge on into the future? I have a daughter. So I was like, I have to plan myself. I have to, sorry, keep getting interrupted. I have to plan myself. I have to, have so many other streams of income. And I think that's why I really, really wanted to get into business. And also, when they mentioned 4 streams of income, for me, it was speaking from it actually spoke to my heart, because I remember when we were younger, we really grew up humble. We were not rich. We were really not rich. I don't want to say we were poor, but we were not okay financially. We used to, we used to go to, sometimes, to bed without a proper meal. Sometimes, we'd be, kicked out of school because of school fees, arrears. So my childhood really played a part in me wanting more and me wanting to just make sure that my future is bright, that I will not lack, that my daughter will also have a fantastic future and will have a different story from mine. So for me, I think it was just circumstance that really made me to just want a little bit more. And then there are stories of other, media personalities before me who, after their stint on TV, you'd ask about them and you'd not hear about them. Sometimes even, they'd be living in squalor conditions. So because of all that, I think I just wanted to just do something more so that I can make sure that my future is covered and the future of my daughter is covered too. That's how I just decided to try this thing called business out. Yeah.
Wow, inspirational. I think I'll throw the same question to Paul Kimani, if you may. When did you first think you could be an entrepreneur?
Right. So I think for me, it was when I was in college at the university. So I did electrical engineering, and by the time I was in second year, I was like, gosh, what did I put myself into? I was not sure that that's what I wanted to do. Just to take a step behind is that just before I joined college, I happened to meet James Mwangi, the CEO of Equity Bank. And he really challenged us, and he was asking us why does it have that, like, all the brilliant minds, people who like pass in their KCSE exams, all of them want to go into medicine, they want to go into engineering. No one wants to go into business school. The only people who want to go into business school or people who want to pursue business are people who are doing it not because they want to, but they are doing it because they don't have an opportunity to do something else. So when I found myself in electrical engineering, and I was really finding that this is not something that I want to do. I was really struggling with it, not because I was not gifted academically to be able to handle it, but it was something that I did not think that was what I wanted to do. So by then, that's when I started having laptops at the university. Most people had hardwares and the like, desktop they had at the university. So I happened to have some extra cash. I bought a laptop. Everyone was very excited about it. Like, oh, where did you get this? How much did you buy for it? And I was like, okay, I can take you where I bought it. So one of my classmates that we were schooling in high school had just started a shop selling computers in town. So I was just at the University of Nairobi, which was just crossing the road and getting to town. So I started just selling, sort of brokering those laptops for people and helping them to buy. And before I realized that I had already a business that I was making some income from it. But now to get into real business, when I was in third year, just joined hand with a few colleagues, and we built our first mobile application. It was really interesting. We used to call it M-Shop. So what it used to do, ideally was we were helping students or people to order food digitally, like what you guys see with Jumia Food right now. It's like really mainstream right now, but then it was really hard. I remember myself moving around Kimathi Street in Nairobi, trying to convince merchants to use our platform to be able to deliver food. There was not even logistics infrastructure for us to be able to deliver. We had built it on USSD where people could start, blah, blah, and for them to be able to order. We had a very basic application built on very basic phones. That's when Idios was now introducing Android into the market. So the smartphone was not really mainstream. So that's the time that I really got into the business and understood, coming from a technical background, now trying to do things that are not technical, like going to some and convince someone to onboard on your platform, making them understand how you're going to make them sell more. It was really tough to me. And of course, we did it for some time. It was successful in its way. We won a few awards here and there. But of course, we were not able to proceed with it. Some of my colleagues went on and changed that, and actually is a precursor to one of the most successful startups in this country today. But after adopting that, in my fourth year, engineering takes 5 years, as you already know. So in my fourth year, that's when we were having the elections after the constitution. That was in 2012. So just chatting with my classmates, and we were asking ourselves, how could we make information accessible to people, those who are trying to know who to vote for? We had so many posts that were coming up, governors, senators, MCAs, and those kind of things. And we thought that we could build something around that. So we actually built a business that we used to call Kenya Aspirants. So what we did is we built an online portal where we actually profiled most of the people who are vying for various posts during that time. And we even had a bi-weekly newspaper that we used to give for free. Of course, we used to have that sponsored by the people who are vying. So we ran that for an year. Again, it was successful. Of course, it failed because of naivety. We were in college. We did not know actually how to really learn a real business. So we brought in people who we thought are going to help us run the business. We ended up not succeeding, but fundamentally we failed because we did not have a vision of what we were supposed to do after elections. So when the president was announced in 2013, our business died that day because we did not know where do we go next. So I think that's my memory on how I got into business when I was in college.
Wow, thank you. All right, thank you so much, Paul Kimani. That is inspirational. And now for Deshan, I think the prowess and the nudge to start businesses and expand and help people, it runs in the family, of course. But when did you get that personal conviction, that individualized conviction to step out and explore this entrepreneurship ecosystem. How was that individual journey like for you? When did you get that conviction?
Sorry, I think for me it was when I was at school. And I think at high school, I remember sitting in a classroom where people were studying hard, paying attention in class. And I sort of said, like, these are some basic principles I'm going to need later on in my life, effectively, just to start and understand basic concepts. So when we were sitting, for example, in an accounts class, when we were sitting, for example, in a mathematics class, or in a geography class, I mean, I would just sit there and see people really focus. And I was like, I'm going to have to obviously compete with a lot of these people who are going to start their businesses. They're going to be brilliant. And I think from that point on, I said I just wanted to build amazing businesses. It was just really reflections in my classroom, seeing what was going around, on around me. People I knew, who were older than me, who had started their businesses, created a lot of inspiration. And I said, you know what, I'm going to build businesses which are going to have a serious impact in the country and on the continent. And I think it was really there. It was just seeing people work hard. I was in the classroom, seeing them work hard outside the classroom, building their own businesses. And I think, yeah, I got inspired by people who are doing great things already.
Right, thank you. Now, Masi, if you may, please.
I think related to your start in business, a question here from the audience, and it will be two-tier. One, starting is never easy. So when you faced roadblocks, Paul, you said the business died. So how did you stay motivated? How did you continue in business, continue in the journey? When you faced a challenge, how did you overcome it and be able that you're still an entrepreneur today? I think, Paul, you can start us.
Yeah, so the journey of an entrepreneur is a lonely one, and it's a journey that has so many challenges on the way. You self-doubt every day. Personally, at least I do that. Like, whatever you're doing, are you doing the right thing? Are you actually the person to do that? But to me, the most important thing is that you ask yourself why you are doing that. So every time I face a challenge, I ask myself, why am I doing this in the first place? And if it's very clear why you're doing that, or whatever you're doing, you're able to overcome those challenges, because at the end of the day, every day you have to deal with 101 challenges as an entrepreneur, as a founder, as a CEO. You have to do that. So it just depends on how you have set up your mind. You have conditioned yourself to accept that this is your life, that for you to be able to cause an impact in the space that we are in, it's not going to be easy. You're going to really sacrifice time on your end. Your family is going to really suffer because of that. And so the why has to be big enough for you to be able to overcome all the challenges that we are facing every day.
Miss Betty, and then Dashan.
Well, what I can say is that, first of all, I mean, nothing good comes easy. And I think that's something that our generation really needs to know, especially the people who are coming up after us. Nothing comes easy. I mean, Dashan is my friend. Everything he's been able to achieve. I mean, you've heard the story. It has taken so much time. It's years. It's taken, actually, it's for them, it's a family, business, so they have really had to really work hard, which is exactly what we all, have to do. And nothing comes easy, in this way. So for me, let's talk about my business. When I started my salon, Flair by Betsy, the first one, it was actually the second salon. The first salon was a partnership, and it didn't really go well. And I lost a lot of money in that partnership. When the partnership did not work, I left. And that was like the biggest, it was like a slap on my face. You can imagine, it was my first business, proper business. And then it breaks up, and, and it was a heavily invested kind of business. It wasn't cheap. So, but then, I didn't sit in that space for so long, because sometimes when you can actually cave in if you let a situation, hang around for too long. So I remember for me, immediately did not work out. I left, and fine, it hurt, but I didn't look back. I decided, you know what is next? What's next for me? Because the financial freedom that I wanted to achieve was not going to be possible with just having a TV job, which was not going to be possible. And like I mentioned earlier, for me, that was extremely important, having financial freedom. And so I moved on very fast. And that's how Flair by Betty came. That is how Flair by Betty came. And Flair by Betty now is about 3 years. And there are no regrets. I think some things happen, as a challenge, not to stifle you and not to make you stop, but just to kind of like sharpen you and make you even better. I mean, Flair by Betty is mine, is mine 100%. And that means that I'm able to make decisions faster. I'm able to recruit who I want. It's not like we have to, consult. Not saying that partnerships are wrong, but it has really made me a tougher entrepreneur, because now I'm on my own. For me, that was it was a learning process, which I actually appreciate. I went through. It was really hard. I remember like when the partnership was breaking, it felt like the whole world was coming to an end. But I picked up my pieces very fast. I did not sit in that mud, picked up my pieces fast. And I decided, you know what? I'm going to move on and I'm going to create my own thing. I'm going to be, Flair by Betty. And that's how it was born. So I think that sometimes when along the way you get this, these issues, these struggles, they're so normal. Even in my TV career, I remember I was not even able to read the teleprompter properly. I could not read the auto cue for months after I was starting to do the screen test and everything. I really trained so hard because I could not just get it right. But then it took a lot of, you fail today, tomorrow you wake up, you're like, okay, so you go to the studio, let me try this thing again, until I was able to do it. But somebody might watch me on TV and be like, oh my gosh, she was born with it. I mean, there's so many challenges along the way, but I think the destination is even sweeter when you actually have a story like what I'm saying, the story I'm telling you, of a point where the world wanted you to stop, but you decided, you know what, I'll not give up. I don't believe in giving up. Trust me, even with my life decisions, even how I live my personal life, there's nothing like giving up. It's you stand up, dust yourself off, and move on. And along the way, you'll find that you're even inspiring so many other people with the kind of life you would be leading if you decide, okay, fine, I've gotten into a challenge, but then I'm gonna, move away from it and even become better. You inspire so many people. My sisters are inspired. I have very many millions of fans who are inspired by my story. So it's not even just for me alone. It's for so many people who look up to Betty and say, I want to be like her. And if they see that once upon a time, Betty, got into this situation, this challenge, and she was able to overcome, they'd ask themselves, why not me? So sometimes we don't even do these things for ourselves. Sometimes it's actually for the people who are watching us and following, our every steps. But I have to say, challenges are there in life. My goodness, I don't even think I've had, Yani, I'm just on the road. We're all on a journey. And every day you'll find even with running my business, I have systems. I have a great team, very, very amazing team of stylists, of the management, of support staff. We were great. But every day you'll come to work and, there's an issue and all these issues, if you let them stop you, my goodness, they will. But it's about how you handle it, how fast you are, and just having passion, and also knowing that it's okay to make mistakes along the way, because I think most of us are just so scared. We want to do it perfectly, but there's nothing like that. You get into challenges, but ultimately what matters is how you're going to get out of it. So don't stay in a challenge for too long. Dust yourself off and say, okay, so now what am I going to do next? I think that's what I would say about that.
Dashan, you may go ahead.
Thank you. I totally agree with what Betty's just said. I think there's no shortcuts to success, right? I mean, we've got to come out and build businesses for years to come, not the next 3 to 6 months. And I think that's a mind shift. That's a mindset change that we really need to accept, to say that, look, you want to be successful, you want to build something meaningful, it's going to take years. I also really like Paul's t-shirt, which says, make things people want. Okay, just a small example to this was, I had somebody recently pitch an idea of masks for dogs and cats. Now, you have to be realistic, right? So the first part is saying, look, don't kid yourself about, is there really a market for this? And listen to feedback that people give you. So obviously I said, look, you think this is innovative, you think, this is amazing in your own way, but look, realistically, go out and talk to people. Would they buy? Is it scientifically proven that dogs and cats can even get the coronavirus, right? I mean, so sometimes I think you just got to be realistic with the opportunities, at hand. I think the other big element, and I think, Betty and Paul covered it very well, but I think the other big element is you've got to be able to focus on what your business most needs at that point in time. So, for example, Chandaria Industries, Chandaria Capital, and Chandaria Properties are at very different stages of their life cycle. Chandaria Industries is a large, mature business. The strategies and how we run that has to be very different for Chandaria Capital, which is still a growing company. Chandaria Properties is midway there, a bit more mature, but midway there, right? So what does your business really need? And you need to really focus on it. If your business needs more customers, make sure you're spending day and night finding customers for your business. If your business needs more money, whatever it is, whether you're looking for equity, be in front of investors, spend day and night talking to investors. If your business needs debt, day and night be talking to banks, and any institution that can give you that debt. I think that's very, very important. I think the other part, that I'd also like to talk about is also understand the needs of your business very, very well, right? So we often say, understand your customers. That goes without saying, but understand the needs of your business. If your business, has a high likelihood that you're going to lose money if there's not proper controls in place, or for example, a lot of times people don't realize that when they import a product, when they manufacture a product, they first need to manufacture or import it and have at least 30 to 60 days stock. After 30 to 60 days stock, you need to then give your customers another 30, 60, 90 days of credit. Once you've made the sale, they'll make the sale and then you'll collect the money. Often people don't realize that you have to fund your cash flow in your business for anything between 90 to 180 days. So when people say my business is profitable, but I'm running out of cash, that means that they're not planning their cash flow, right? So you could be making a fantastic 40% margin on the product you're selling. But what you've not bridged is that gap of while you're holding stocks, while you've sold to the market and while you're collecting money, there's a gap there for which you need to bridge. So I think it's really to understand what your business needs as well is very important.
I think before I yield back to Ben, I'll ask specific follow-up questions to your answers. Dashan, you've talked about cash flows. So there was a question about managing cash flows. When do you start paying yourself and all that, especially when you're starting? Yes.
So you pay yourself when you can afford to pay yourself, right? It's really as simple as that. I mean, you've got to decide, right? You put your business first or do you put yourself first, right? If you put yourself first, you're often going to have a failing business. As a simple example, I had to make a very big sacrifice when I started Chandaria Capital. When I went to the board with the proposal to say, look, here's a business that I really believe in. I think investing in entrepreneurs, promising entrepreneurs and helping them scale their business will have tremendous amount of impact. We will make some great financial returns. But the board was, this is very risky. If you're asking us to do it, why don't you do it yourself and prove to us that you're really willing to put skin in the game and you're really willing, to do it, right? And I think that is where I realized, okay, once you do it yourself, once you put your own money in, then you really sort of have a serious interest to make sure it succeeds. And with that confidence now, the board wants to put more money, and I think the group wants to have, a stake in the business. But what I effectively did was, Chandaria Capital is fully owned by my brother and myself, right? And we've, decided to keep it that way because I think we're flexible, we're quick. We don't need some of the large corporate governance structures that come with a business like Chandaria Industries. So I think the question really is, if you're committed to your business, you will do what's right for your business first before you look at yourself. But yes, look, we're all here to lead better lives. We're all here to enjoy the benefits of our work, right? Once a business gets to a certain size and, it can afford to pay what you're looking for, it can afford to support the kind of lifestyle you're looking for, go for it, right? I mean, we live once, you don't have any regrets. So work hard and play hard at the same time.
Thank you so much. To Paul, there is a question about Workpay. You talked of the venture that closed in 2012. So maybe tell us what you did after 2012 and then how you got Workpay off the ground. And there's a compliment again also from the audience, apart from the Shan, that indeed make things that people want. So how did you identify the Workpay services as something people want?
Great. So starting from in 2012 after our venture closed, so of course I went back to school and graduated, and I would like probably to emphasize that because I realize we have so many people who are in college or at the university. Like, I think that's the most important part that we are going through right now. Number one, I think in my team of 30 people, 4 people I met them directly through college, and these are the most important people in my business. So my co-founder who heads our finance, our CTO, met him through college. Our head of business met him through college. So like that's the very, very important phase that we are going through. And this way you're going to meet people that are going to be lifelong partners when if we want to go the business route. So I went back, graduated, and then went to, I started working for 1 year, which I think also was a very, very good decision that I made. I went working in a company that was in the mechanical engineering space. I worked for exactly 1 year as a project manager. That helps me in a number of ways. I learned how to really run a real business, reporting to someone where you are accountable to somebody, not like what I was doing initially when I was the CEO, still in college, making my own decisions, most of them very wrong. And that helped me today in terms of what I'm doing. So after 1 year, I quit because of a number of things. Of course, one of it was I was feeling that I was not doing something that is worthwhile in my life. I was comfortable. I thought I was being paid enough. I was able to take care of myself, but I was not feeling that I was actually utilizing all my potential. So I quit. I started a software development company. That was easy because I did not need to employ anybody. I just wanted to just start building myself. And that's one of the ways that you could start. If you're able to start, especially when you're young, you could start by your skills. So I could code, I could build simple solutions. And before I realized, my co-founder joined me and we started building that. Slowly, we had a team of about 15 people who we were building for. So when we are building the software development company, by then we don't need external funding. We are making money, we're able to pay our people, and we're able to live decent lives. So when you're doing that, that's when we realized that we were building solutions that were really repetitive in nature to our clients. We were dealing mostly with what we may call small businesses and medium, small and medium. So people, let's say, employing between 20 to about 300 employees or thereabout. And we kept on building what we may call resource planning solutions. Someone just wants you to build them a software to help manage their finance. Someone wants you to build a solution that helps them manage their clients, manage their people. And we built that solution actually for our clients as a product in our software development company. But down the line, we realized and we ask ourselves, why not spin this to be the company and now sell this, not only build for each and every client, but have them quote unquote rent space on it, what we would call software as a service. So we shut down the company after, of course, running some tests, sometimes early in 2018. And we now started to close down the software development company and now started running Workpay. By then it was called Choza Plus, which had accounting, CRM, and HR. And then again, at the end of the day, emphasizing on the need to talk to your users and understand that you're not building for yourself. I keep on telling my people that until the day that they are going to buy our products, that's why their needs are going to supersede the needs of our users. But at the end of the day, as long as it's the users, it's the clients who are paying for our products, at the end of the day, they are the ones that we have to listen to. So we did a few sort of customer experimentation for about 6 months actually, and we decided, wait, we're just going to focus on the people space. We are going to help businesses to manage their people better. We are going to help them to pay their people more efficiently. We are going to help them to pay them on time. And this was also something that I was drawing from my experience. So where I was working for that 1 year, one of the things that I hated most was like, I did not even know when was our payday. Like we could be paid on 29th, we could be paid on 1st, we could be paid on 5th. Like it was like so messy in terms of the way we were paid. And one of the things that I said and when I was starting my company is that I'm going to set a day that my people are going to be paid. Either I have one employee, I have 1,000 employees. To me, one of the most important things is that people know when they are paid. Either it's a Sunday, either there's Madaraka Day, there's whatever. My employees from day one have never missed even a single day of their salary. I have to do anything that I need to do myself for me to make sure that I pay them on time. So that one is really engraved in what I believe and how I build my company. So sometimes in 2018, of course, we built the business with our own funds. So what we were getting from the software development company, myself and my co-founder had saved a little bit just to echo what Dashan is saying. At times you have to have like really have the skin in the game for you to be able to really execute in the long term. But sometimes early in 2018, we started looking for venture funds. So we did some pre-seed in 2018. We got also some pre-seed in 2019. And last year we did our seed round to help us to grow the business. So that's how our journey has been. But at the end of the day, what has been my biggest lesson in all these transitions from my first venture, going to employment, coming back to building again, is that at the end of the day, you have to listen to the user. As long as you're building for a client and you're building for big enough a market and big enough a need for them to pay for it, because you could be solving a problem for someone, but is it painful enough for them to want to pay for it? Sometimes it could be they can live with that inconvenience. They're not willing to. They're not willing to pay something for it. But if you get a problem that is big enough and people are willing to pay for it, you'll definitely build a successful business. And that's what you're trying to do at Workpay.
Okay. Final follow-up to Miss Betty. The question was, you talked about shifting for financial freedom to entrepreneurship, but you're also still having some employment engagements. So how do you balance running the business while also being employed, and also managing that shift for someone who's thinking to shift into entrepreneurship as well? Please unmute your microphone.
There you go. I forgot. Sorry. So last year I decided to take a break from TV. Yeah. And so I had two reasons to do that. So the first reason was because I really wanted to expand. And it's so weird that it was 2020, the year of the pandemic, but I was still, having this nudge to expand. So I really needed time to make sure that I'm present in all, these other enterprises that I'm, starting or still maintaining. And then the second reason was I really wanted to see how strong Besikalo as a brand is. I really wanted to test it because sometimes, you're on TV, you think that, you're up there, you think, that people really, really, like you or really appreciate the work that you do until you leave the media and guys are just like, well, so I really those are two things I wanted to do, just to test myself, my strength, the influence that I have, and also to make time. It's really hard, honestly, because even when I was still at KTN and K24, I still had Flair by Betty. And you want all these things to succeed. You don't want to have, failure, in anything that you do, and especially with business, because with business is even more difficult because you're actually investing money, you've taken loans to start, these businesses. Maybe you've asked a friend or two, like, I need a loan from you, I need some help here. So they really have to work. And it can be really hard trying to make that balance. But what I can say is that if you're working, don't go too hard. I think starting slowly and growing slowly is much better than taking up too much than you can chew. Because I'm sure for many people, you'd work from 8 to 5, then, you'd only be present in your businesses, maybe over lunch where you can just dash, somewhere and check out, or over the weekend. But what I'd say is that if you want to venture into entrepreneurship and you're still working, just start small and don't bite off too much. Just start something that you can be able to maintain, or something that does not need your engagement, your daily engagement. Something very simple. And then when this business that you're trying to start, is stable enough, then you can think now of quitting your your main job and now focus on this thing, especially when you see that it's actually starting to work and, you start to break even or even make some profit. That's what I would say about that. Just slowly, just do it slowly. And so that you also don't mess up both ways, because these are two streams of income and you don't want to lose any and you don't want to fail. So just balancing out by just chewing pole. Yeah.
Thank you. I yield the floor back to Ben.
All right. Thank you so much, Marcy. Thank you so much, Paul. Thank you so much, Deshan. Thank you so much, Betty. And I think, Betty, since you're the last to speak, I would like to now yield this question to you. Now, I want us to talk about funding. Let's talk about where do we get this money as young people? Well, as you can realize, most of the audience today are pediatric audiences. Young people,
are what?
Right? Pediatric audiences, young people, right? Young people, the youth, the millennials, right? Now, I want these questions to be specific to each and every one of you. Now, Betty, you're the last to speak, so I'd wish you go first, right? You talked about taking loans to start a business, and I understand you have a very close relationship with NCBA and also Stanbic Bank. Tell us more about that, and how was that for you? Were you scared to take up loans to start your business? How was that for you, Betty?
Yeah, so there's something that Dashan mentioned earlier, and it was about connections and networks. Trust me, those things really, really, go a long way. The kind of relationship I've been able to, not even just the bank, even just my team here at the salon and all these other businesses that I'm doing, it's all about relationship. Was I scared to take a loan? Of course, I was really scared. So I took a loan because that time I was working at KTN. So at least I had a salary to kind of cover the loan. So it was not difficult to get it. Okay. But then the thing is, the payments, you have to now start paying, and you're hoping that your business is actually going to be self-sustaining and actually pay this loan. All right. So loans are not bad. And it can be scary for a young person to get a loan. But what I always say is that just ask, if there's an institution or even family that you can talk to. For me, honestly speaking, all these expansions that I'm doing, it's not like I have just money sitting around. No. And remember, your money in the pocket is more expensive than the one at the bank. So use the one at the bank more than what you have in your pocket. So I would say that everything is possible. You just need to have that relationship. You need to talk to these banks, give them a proposal, or if not even a bank, anybody who you think is able to kind of finance you and give you some funding. Okay. Talk to your bank, have that relationship with them, go talk to them. Sometimes you're even scared, you don't even go yet. Things could actually work out for you in the end. So I'm just saying, as young people, let's just take risks. Let's be a bit bolder. Let's be a bit unapologetic. Talk to these people, because that, for me, honestly, that is the way that I've been able to build, and expand. For me right now, if I go to NCBA and I tell them, you guys, I have another business idea, they're so used to me saying that all the time. I'm like, I have another business idea. So they normally listen because they've seen at least the consistency that I've had over the years is trusted. They can trust that for sure. If we give Betty 5 million shillings, she can be able to pay because she's showed her consistency. So I think for me, and especially as young people, the ones who are listening, start right now. Don't be those people who jump from one bank to another, to another, to another. Be consistent, build a relationship, and not just with your bank, even with people around you, family, people who can actually be potential investors. Always build that relationship. And also to gain trust, what is this business idea? Have you researched on it? Have you asked people who are in the same business about it? Is it profitable? Have they told you it's profitable? Is it a good business to get into? So you first also have to do your homework before you even go to the bank or go to somebody who's capable of funding you. So for me, I'd say don't be scared, but start building that relationship slowly with the people around you, and especially people who would positively impact, your future business or your current business or your potential business. Yeah. And
Wow, inspirational. Thank you so much, Betty. And now now to Paul Kimani, I also understand that you also have a very close father relationship with the Y Combinator. Tell us a bit about that in terms of how they've helped you in getting funding, etc.
Yes, thanks, Benson. So I'll start by talk something about fundraising and raising capital. Most of the time, it depends on where you are at which stage. Let's say you're just leaving school and you're trying to build a business. At times, you may not have like that muscle or backing for you to go to a bank. At least that is what happened to me. I had worked in the bank, but I did not even have enough balance sheet or statement for me to be able to get money from the bank. So one of the ways that worked for us or we did is that, and Betty touched a little bit on that, is that you need to talk to people who are really close to you, and mostly these are friends and family. So you have to be convincing enough. So if you are building a business, if you cannot convince the people who are really closest to you, it's going to be even harder for you to convince people who don't know you, are not related to you. So you have to really, that's a very good place to start. Actually, that's what we did. So when we started our decided to now transition from now doing consulting business and now running a product company. We actually did crowdfunding. So we just went out there and started asking people to fund us. We went to our family, our friends, and people are like, we thought you guys are doing well. Now you're coming to beg money from us. Is it that it has become that bad that now you don't even have money, you're coming to ask money from us? But if you look at the crowdfunding as a tool to raise money, we are used to that every day. We give people money for their weddings every day. We give money people for their to medical courses every day. We give money people for burials and everything. So, but we are not used to doing that on the flip side to help people to grow businesses. So we actually use that as a tool, and we actually raised 500,000 Kenyan shillings, which was something for us by then in terms of helping us to add on to what we were having. So after doing that, the other thing that you could do, I'm just trying to build all the way to how we got into YC. The other thing is that there are people out there who are actually looking for businesses to support and to fund, people like Chandaria Capital and the rest. But the most important thing is for you to understand where you are as a business, or what are your business needs. Do you need, what kind of funding do you need? Are you in a place where you could get loans? Are you in a place where you could get, you want to get equity in terms of as a fundraising channel? So you could do that. So for us, what we did is that we started looking for people who would support our business. So we were lucky enough in 2018, there was an accelerator that was launching in Nairobi. It was hosted in Strathmore. It was called Pangea. I believe they still do, I think, 2 cohorts every year. So we applied for that. We were accepted. It was very early. We had like probably less than 5 clients, but we really trusted and believed in what we are doing. We went, pitched to them the idea. The people understood what we are trying to build, and they took us in a group of like, I think we are about 100 or something. And then they kept on reducing us all the way to until 3 people, 3 companies that they were able to invest in. So that was our first external real cash that we got into the business. So remember, this is almost probably 6 or 8 months down the line. And all this time we are trying to make the business survive by us trying to be very lean. Number one, us as co-founders, because the business is not giving you money, but you have to keep on giving money to the business. So that in a sense helped us to be more courageous in trying to do things. Then in 2019, again, when we are like 50K USD, that's 5 million Kenyan shillings or thereabout, was running out. We had really invested that heavily in building the product. You know, as a CEO, I'm the one who's going out there trying to get businesses. We were running out of cash. Again, we did not have a strong balance sheet for us to go to the bank and ask them to give us loans. We were building a software business, so we don't have even assets. The assets we have is our laptops and those kind of things. So go to a bank and try to explain that to them. It is really foreign for them to understand what we are talking about. So again, we had to deeper into our networks, look for people who are willing to fund people. Again, we were lucky enough to get another investor who wrote us a check of 10 million, which is about 100,000 USD. And that also helped us to keep on kind of moving. And that, to me, that was really important. We got that money in February of 2019, and that is what really helped us to grow. So at that point, then things now started looking forward. We were growing at a rate of, I think we grew about like every month we would double our revenues in that month. And now that at least now we could even have a balance sheet that we could take to a bank and have conversations with them. So by the end of the year, we were growing well. We are a bit confident about what we are doing. We had understood the market that we are playing in. And then we started to apply for YC. Just as a background for YC, YC is one of the largest accelerators in the world, funding companies across the globe. They say that it's harder to get into YC than it is to get into Harvard. In terms of the people who apply, they are mind-blowing. We applied last year. No, the year before in 2019, we got accepted. We had to fly to San Francisco to go and meet the other companies in January of last year. And that experience changes you as an entrepreneur. The people that you meet there, you meet people who are trying to modify genes. You meet people who are trying to go to space. You meet people who are trying to do all manner of crazy things that you think in this world. There you go, you're trying to do things around software. You're trying to help people to be paid on time, and they don't understand how that is a problem. And for them, these are problems that they solved probably 40, 50 years ago. But you go there, the problem that they are facing now are things like the thing about global warming. They are thinking of people, how do you create new materials for construction, those kind of things. So like really crazy things. People who are building rovers that are going to move around Mars, like that changes you, and that makes you starting things, seeing things from a different perspective, and that's what happened to us. And then the other thing that is really crazy, actually, the t-shirt I'm wearing is from YC, and they are really obsessed with the user. Like, to them, you're not building for the user, you're not building. So that one was really engraved into us, and we really were able to really find the conversation that we were having with our user, and that has really helped us. So as part of participating in the YC, of course, they become an investor. So they invested an extra 150,000 last year. And then, of course, after graduating, we were able to go on and raise some funds to that from investors across the globe, from Japan, Europe, America, Africa. I think only Australia, probably, and Antarctica. We don't have investors from that continent. And that was helpful in the sense that it gave us some publicity, in a sense that investors are able to connect with us. Like right now, if I want to connect with investors in the US, I'm in a community that I'm able to talk to them. I'm in a community that I'm able to reach out to them, ask for intros, because money moves. There's a lot of trust around money. I think Dashan will agree with me around that. There's a lot of trust around money. So if you send Dashan an email right now asking him to fund your company, as opposed to, let's say, Kobo, who is their investee, introducing to you to them, that's totally different conversation. And that goes back to networks, like what kind of network that you have really been able to build. And that networks you have at every stage when you're building your business, you have to figure out, how do I keep on leveraging that, either from intros, or even asking them to put money in your company if they actually believe in what you're doing. Because most of the time, people just tell you how you're building something amazing, yet they cannot bet with it, with their money. But you have to challenge them to put their money where their mouth is and see whether they actually believe in what you're building. So that has been our journey, our fundraising journey. It did not start with YC. People only think of YC because that is when we raised a substantial amount of money, but we have been able to take some little money all the way from us taking money from our pockets, using crowdfunding is crazy. I bet you try it, you know how crazy crowdfunding is. You get all manner of feedback from the people, and it's really, really hard. And people start doubting you whether you started quote unquote begging, whereas the business is supposed to give back to them, not you taking from the business. But people just think about our seed round, but it has been a journey. As everyone is saying in this panel, it is a continuous journey that you have to conquer small battles every day. It's not in the destination, it's in the process. The journey itself is what entrepreneurship is all about. And just a caution when you're still at fundraising, I keep on getting asked questions about this a lot because people probably have seen that we have raised money. You have to remember that you're not building the business for the investor. So if you are starting a business to raise money, you're going to get it wrong and you're going to fail. So the matrix to me should start from the user. So if you build the business for the user is going to love you so much that people will want to put money in your business. So if we're able to make our customers at Workpay so happy, of course, two things are going to happen. They are going to pay us for what we are doing to them. So that is going to add money into our pockets. And then number two, people who are following on what we are doing would want to put money because they want to be part of our journey or part of our story. But if you start it from the other way around, where you want to impress the investor, then you use their money to impress the user, you're going to have it rough and chances of you surviving are going to be very minimal. Yeah.
Thank you so much. You've also answered a question that was pending about crazy ideas. So you've really encouraged those who are wondering, is their idea viable? Where do they start? And then maybe connected to that, as Ben also will ask Dashan another question. Mr. Dashan, maybe you share about what startups do you actually invest in and what are the parameters before you invest in a business?
Thank you. Just before that, Paul, it's great to know that you're YC alumni. I've actually been invited to attend, as an investor the last 2 demo days. So before you become $1 billion business, you better come and talk to Chandaria Capital. Huh?
Sure.
Good. So what do we look at, right? At Chandaria Capital, we have a very simple investment model. We look first at, is the entrepreneur or the team backable? That's 50% of our decision making right there. We believe very strongly that great teams can turn average ideas into fantastic businesses. But if you cannot back the team, if you feel that there is an issue with the entrepreneur or team, there is a high likelihood that that venture will fail or it won't perform as per expectation. The second is we look at the competitive landscape and what is the unique selling proposition of the product or service that is being offered. So you've got to really look hard as entrepreneurs to say, okay, what is the current market I'm going into? What are the competitors currently doing? What are they good at? What are they not good at? Do your SWOT analysis and then say, okay, fine, there's a gap here and this is the gap I'm going after. And third, we look for scalability. Is this a business that can scale, for example, throughout the country, throughout Kenya? Is this a business, for example, that we can grow through East Africa, that we can take even to West Africa, Southern Africa, North Africa? So those are really the 3 main things we look for. But the biggest one first is we've got to have confidence and we've got to be able to see the capability in you to execute on what it is that you're presenting to us.
Ben, the floor is yours.
All right, thank you so much, Mercy. I think I'll ask Dashan, a question to do with funding, but we're going to take a little bit of a tangent for you. Now, you started Chandaria Capital with the aim of providing funding, especially to startup companies, young investors, young entrepreneurs, etc. And I'll quote you in an interview with JKL and also at the SOA Africa forum. You said that the scarcest resource is not capital, but talented venture capital professionals who can guide companies as they grow. Is that, according to your opinion, is that what Chandaria Capital is doing?
Absolutely. And I think, Paul and Betty and, will understand and agree with this, right? Getting the money is just one part of the challenge. But when you get smart money and when it comes with people who can really help your business, with whatever your requirements are. So for example, if your requirements are access to networks, if your requirements are how to manufacture a certain product. If your requirements are, okay, shall I invest? Should I be hiring a CFO this year or next year? Can I find a suitable CFO? Recruitment, needs. If you can get that money from people who've walked that journey before you, if they've had experience in doing what it is that you want to do, it makes it that much easier. So for example, we invested in a business last year that the business plan was just to say, we're going to set up a factory, we're going to set up a factory. And I said, great. When we actually looked at the capital investment and the sort of capacity that you needed for even the smallest size factory for that business, we were going to be operating at like 10 to 15% of the capacity. And had we not gone there, had we not given some advice to this business, they would have put some money behind the factory and probably failed. But we said, no, start by getting the product made locally by somebody else or importing the product. And finally, we went with getting that product made by somebody else locally as we build volumes. So I really believe that, as entrepreneurs here, and for example, we talked a lot about even debt and equity funding, at this table. And I can tell you, even when you take debt from a bank, you have to be very careful and work with a bank that adds value to your business. Because the minute you take debt from a bank, they become a stakeholder in your business, okay? There's certain banks that add more value. For example, some banks like to connect you to their other clients. You start forming a network, you start getting, access to customers because of their customers. Some banks will sort of come in and give you advice to say, actually, you know what? There seems to be a bit of a problem on your cash flow. There seems to be a little bit of a problem, on your sales. So could it be a quality problem? Could it be that your sales team is not pushing hard enough? So money is just half the problem. I think if you can get the right kind of expertise and the right kind of investors to come with it, I think it'll add a lot of value to your business.
All right, thank you so much, Dashan. And I think I'll ask Betty a question. Now, Betty, you say that the destination is even sweeter when you have a story to tell. And I think you're one of the few people who act as a true epitome to this statement, that success is not final, failure is not fatal. It is the courage to continue that counts, by Winston Churchill. What are we not getting right as the youth? We have all these platforms. We have banks that are willing to work with us. We have programs like the Y Combinator. We have programs like the KCP Lounge. But I think there's still something that we lack as the youth, that we lack as the young generation. What do you think that is?
I think we're not aggressive enough. That's one of the things. I feel like the young people are a bit comfortable. They don't want to challenge themselves. They don't want it. Okay, there's so many. Let me tell you, I've employed quite a number of people, not like Dashan or Paul, but I have quite a number of people who are working, with us. And you'll find that sometimes give somebody an opportunity, to work, to come in at, different capacities, and they just don't deliver. They're too comfortable. They don't wake up in the morning. They're not aggressive enough. They're not hungry enough. That's the word I was looking for. They're not hungry enough. I think that tenacity and aggressive nature is extremely important if you really want to make it in this life. I think many people ask me, Betty, you're opening this business, you're also opening this one. It's because this is the time that, I have energy. This is the time that I have the drive. This is the time that I have time, to even, to venture out. This is the time that actually I can make mistakes. I'm young, I have energy. The world is my playground. And I wish that more young people would be aggressive enough, and dare themselves, There's some who do, like I'll be seated here and, many young people, come here, they wait for me at the reception, they say, I'm not leaving until I see Betty. I want you to hear this idea of mine. I want you to help me in this way or another. So there's a group, but if you compare, the bigger population is people who are just really, really just comfortable. I think we need to be more aggressive and dare to take on our dreams and dare to actually, head out there and face the world and, fall and make mistakes and stand up again and continue and, until you get it right. So I feel for young people, it's time that it's time that young people just become daring enough, bold enough and just say, okay, fine, you know what? This is what I want to do. Let me approach, Dash, and let me approach this, different companies that I willing to work with young people. Let me make my dreams, and my vision, come true. I think they're very comfortable in this time that, young people just, they just accept challenges and accept to just, go for their dreams and not to just sit back and wait. Because the other thing is, you've noticed unemployment rates are so high, especially in our country. It's crazy. I don't know where it's standing right now, but it's crazy where, how many young people go to universities, graduate, but they're still out here, not having any jobs to do because there are no jobs. So I think when you have that in mind, that thing should stress you a bit to decide, what, this is what I want to do. Let me put up my idea properly. Let me put a proposal. Let me speak to different people. Let me go out there and, try to make something for myself. So we need to be aggressive, as young people. I mean, there are people who come to my salon as, tea guy, we call them tea girls or support staff. And, because of their aggressive nature, you find that they rise through the ranks. And now, there are beauticians who earn quite a bit of money. Like, I have beauticians here who earn about 200,000 per month. So you can imagine that from somebody who used to serve tea, they were so hungry. They were so hungry to, to get out there and, to work and, and challenge themselves to the point whereby they now are able to say, okay, actually, I can make a decent living, So it's all about being aggressive and going after things, not just sitting and waiting. But nothing's going to come if you don't go out there and look for it. You have to be really bold and aggressive. I think that's what I would say. Yeah.
All right. Thank you, Betty. And maybe a quick follow-up. Do you think we have the strength to actually make the sacrifices and go forth the same way these older generations have done? And of course, motivation is key, but do you think we have it in us? Do you think we have it in us as the youth?
But do we even have a choice? I don't think we have a choice whether to do it or not. We all want to drive that nice car. We all want to, to have a title like Dashan or Paul. We want to have the good things in life. We don't have a choice, guys. For me, it's not an emergency, but it's really urgent that we don't waste time. We don't have an option. We just have to work hard. The way things are going in our country, and that's why you're seeing there's a huge gap between the rich and the poor, and it shouldn't be that way. And I think that gap can only be reduced if we just are intentional about how to go about things and how to do things. So for me, honestly, I don't think we have an option. We have energy, we have the time. You can start something now, you can fail and start it again because you have the time as a young person. So I don't think we even have we don't have that, what do you call it? We don't have, that, what is it? There's a word I'm looking for. Opportunity to say yes or no. There's, that choice is not there. We just have to do it. Yeah.
Right. Thank you so much, Preeti. Quite inspirational. And now, to Mr. Paul Kimani, in one word, describe the business environment in Kenya. How would you describe the business environment in Kenya in one word?
Whoa, I don't know how to describe it in one word. I think I would say changing, and I will explain that. So the way it was, and this I'm talking from the concept of maybe starting a startup and when you're young and starting something not probably as big as Chandaria, is that the way it was 5 years ago is not the same way that it is right now. So I can confidently say that it was harder to raise capital 5 years ago than it was right now. It was harder to do this kind of networking 5 years ago than it was just having all these very fantastic people with a lot of experience in a call, just trying to learn from them. But right now things are changing because, of course, so many things, and they are, of course, changing in good ways, in the sense that, like, what you're able to do right now, but also it's becoming challenging each and every day. The other thing is that you have to realize that with this change, the exposure is becoming even bigger. Right now, let's say when I'm hiring, I'm competing with Microsoft. Let's say for software engineers, I'm competing with some company in Nigeria. I'm competing with some company in Australia. So what that means is that I have to raise my game in the sense that I'm either offering something better because of course I cannot compete from maybe salary point of view. I have to offer something different. So even you think also even not only talent, think even of product that we are offering. Especially like people like us who are in software. I'm competing with a company that is seated somewhere in San Francisco. I'm competing with a company somewhere in Mumbai in India. So what am I offering different that makes me be able to win in the long term? So the environment is really changing. There's so many now, even especially people who are successful, who are willing to share their stories like we are doing right now. People who have experienced started companies, and probably now they are, some of them are leaving those companies to come back and start working with other companies. So there's even more talent in the space. There's more experience in the space. So I would think it's not harder like it was probably 5 years ago to start a business. And it's sad because we are not seeing even more businesses being started probably at a higher rate than we'd expect going with the current condition. I know the story of the government is not doing A, B, C, and D. Even the startups space like me, you hear the stories about expert founders business being started by probably people who are coming from abroad. Like there's so many people, things that if you are looking for things to make you not to do it or things for you to complain, like you are going to have a full plate of those things. There are so many things that are not right when you think about the environment, about the business. But the question is, as an entrepreneur, what do you focus on? Do you have the courage to find your way around the challenges that are there, the change that is happening each and every day, to be able to forge forward and move? Because in my opinion, apart from the lack of aggression or people are not aggressive, as Betty is saying, when especially the young people, which is really evident. You need to just check, for example, even compare, let's say, markets like Nigeria and let's say markets like Kenya. You meet people in those two markets. Like even, I usually say that if you go to Lagos, from the taxi guy, you will know you're in Lagos. Like that guy, the way that guy is aggressive, before you get to whoever you're going to meet at your final destination, you'll feel that change. And that lacks, honestly, in this market. We are too soft, too humble, we are not aggressive enough. And the challenges that we are facing are not going to be won that way. And then also, in my opinion, I think at times you also lack the courage to be able to now decide that I'm going to go for this, because that's not to say that the fear is going to go away. Like we are faced by fears every day, and my panelists can agree to that every day there are things that make you worried. But what do you do about them? You have to move around. And now with this change that is we are experiencing globally and as a country, you have to figure out how you are going to win. Right now, like Dashan in his industry, I think probably 10 years ago, it was hard to probably bring in things from China that can come and compete directly from with him. But right now, it's not hard. Someone is able to do so. So the change is so evident in the market, and you have to really know that we are now Kenya. If you are building only a business for Kenya, is going to be challenging. So you have to think of the globe as your market. From your customers, from the people that you are going to hire, from the partners that you're going to have. Think about it from that perspective, and I think that is what is happening in the market right now. And again, I speak this purely from, especially probably from a tech space perspective, but I also believe is what is happening also in other spaces.
Maybe a follow-up to the question of aggression, and then Dashan had mentioned that in investing, they look at team backup, the scalability. So I would like to use you as an example. How do you usually pitch Workpay, and also use that as a platform to tell us about the services you offer? Because you mentioned you're competing with different. Most likely, what Workpay does is being maybe replicated in different versions, different countries. So how do you have a niche in Kenya? How are you fulfilling it? Yeah.
So thanks for that. So I was happy with the team. So yeah, like that's one of the most important things that you will have to do as a startup founder. And I'm living that every day, that building a team is really hard. What that means is that if you are lucky to have found a co-founder, you at least you'll have someone to share probably the problems with. Personally, I have a co-founder who we started the business with. We're able to like really talk about that. But as you are continuously building a net team that is going to help you to win in the long run, that's very hard, and you have to keep on figuring out ways to do that. And believe me, you're going to make mistakes. You're going to hire people, and 2 months down the line, you ask yourself, what was I thinking hiring this person? Because they're not able to really even fit in probably in your culture. That's not to mean that they are probably bad people. It's only that probably whatever the way you guys do things don't work. So going back to things about scalability and what we do. So we are a people platform. So what that means is we help businesses or give them tools to manage their people and pay them. So what we do is that we provide them with platforms that would help them to run payrolls, do compliance for them, pay someone anywhere in Africa. Let's say today you have an employee in Nigeria, you just use Workpay and pay them from there. If you need to do your compliance, let's say Betty with her, I don't know how many employees, she doesn't want to take the pain of being able to be the one who are filing their taxes and those kind of things. So that's the kind of the work we do. And then also the final thing, and which makes us different from the other bit, is where now we're able to actually do the payments to the employees, which is not the same with other payroll softwares. That is very dear to me, and it's very important to me that we help these businesses to be able to pay their people on time. And what that means is that the question that we have to ask ourselves is that why are they not paying their people on time? A number of things happen. The process in which their payrolls are being prepared. At times they don't even have money for them to be able to pay their employees on time. And then the other time is probably even the process that they use. Let's say they use probably their bank takes 2 days or 3 days for them to be able to pay their people. So what we have done is that we have built an integrated solution that helps these businesses to all the way from whichever way you collect your data. If you pay people via time, you pay people via productivity, we give you a tool that allows you to set up these things. Let's say by the end of the month or by 30th, all these things is already ready for you to be able to do the disbursement. So we are in the space of what we may call HR tech stroke fintech. So not only are we doing the people bit, but also we are ramping financial services on top of what we are doing. Things like working with partners to do salary financing, working with partners to do things like insurance as medical insurance as a benefit on top of a platform, working with partners to offer let's say salary financing, what will be called salary advances, and all this we are doing with the employee in mind, that we want to allow them or to give them an opportunity not to go to all these sometimes money lending apps that are quite expensive at times, and people get into a cycle that they're not able to come out from it. So we get into partnership with our customers and ask them, if you know that you're going to pay Mercy at the end of the month 50,000, why not? If you are sure she has earned the 25,000, why not pay her the 25,000 and allow her to lead her life normally, as opposed to going to getting money from all these other places. So in a nutshell, that's what we do. So currently we are operating in Kenya. Our businesses are in Kenya, but we are just started expanding. We'll be in the Eastern African region by the end of this quarter. And hopefully by the end of Q3, we'll be also been launching in Nigeria and Ghana. So we are still at the sort of research stroke building phase. That's what we are doing right now, but we are certainly going to launch in those markets by the end of Q3.
Thank you so much. I believe Dashan had some input, and then we can start with the closing remarks. Please unmute your mic.
We all fall into the trap sometimes. We're just talking to a muted mic, yeah. Sorry, you were saying, just remind me the question or the context of your question?
You had wanted to add on to Paul's answers. There was something you had wanted to say.
No, sure. I think I just wanted to, just wrap up by saying, look, I think we should all remember one very important a couple of important lessons. One is, what is the meaning of fail? F-A-I-L. The real meaning is first attempt in learning. Okay, I think a lot of people believe and sort of get very disheartened when they make their first or have their first failure, right? And I think that's just a stepping block, a learning block that you have to accept and move on from. I think one other thing I would really like to encourage people, to do is really plan for the future. Let's not just look at the next 3 months, 6 months, see what we can do, but build businesses for the future. Just really look at, a 3 to 5 year business plan at minimum. And I think just that will really set you up, to think bigger, to think more sustainably and think more strategically. And I think also we talked about networks, and I think everybody, Betty and Paul spoke about the importance of networks. Start building, your network, interact with somebody, even if they're not from your sector, even if you think that they have no connection to you today, you will be surprised when you will need that person, at some point in your life. And you'll be like, you wish you talked to them, you wish to exchange contacts, you wish you got to know them. And I think that's pretty much it. And I think my one-word answer for the current business environment in Kenya would be dynamic.
Masi, your mic is on mute.
Oh, sorry. I've also made the same mistake today. So I yield the floor back to you. You can wrap the meeting for us.
Right, thank you so much, Masi. Once again, I want to say a big thank you to all our panelists. And I think I'll just give not more than 30 seconds to each one of you to wrap up, give your final remarks. Betty, you can tell us, what do you do if you're not thinking about aftershave? If you're not thinking about Flair by Betty. Paul Kimani, you can tell us, what do you do if you're not thinking about Workpay? Deshan, same, you can tell us, what do you do if you're not thinking about Chandaria Capital, if you're not thinking about Chandaria Indices, etc., etc. Ladies and gentlemen, kindly, let's take as little time as we can because we're short of time. I think the lady will go first. Betty, please. Your mic is on mute.
There you go. So saying first to just say thank you for having me here on this platform. I really appreciate it. Also, I always love to just speak to young people, and something I can't see them, but I hope they got something out of everything we've talked about this afternoon. When I'm not thinking about all these things, like Darshan said earlier, we play hard, we work hard and play hard. So I love to dance a lot. I have friends, love to go out of town a lot. Of course, spending time with my daughter, who's like super cool, and my sisters, we live together. It's a crazy house. So yeah, I mean, I'm a lover of life and positivity, and just a word of advice. My 30 seconds are over. For anybody who's watching and listening, go after your dreams and don't be scared. Don't be fear. Fear, I think, is the worst, is a human being's worst enemy. Okay, one of, but top 5 or top 3. Let's stop being fearful. Let's chase our dreams. Let's be very intentional about making it and being great. Let's not fear. Let's not let's not stifle ourselves. Always go out there. Say yes. Actually, there's a book I'm reading by Shonda Rhimes. It says this is the year of yes. Year of yes. So say yes to that meeting. Say yes to to taking your friend for an interview. You may be the one who's gonna be picked. And just say yes to everything that is that is being offered to you. Good thing, legal things. So what I can tell people, just go after your dreams and don't let nobody tell you. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Betty. Thank you for being amazing. Thank you for being awesome. Thank you for being stunning. I don't know about your daughter, but you are cool. Go for your dreams. Don't be scared. This is a year of yes. BK. Thank you so much. Once again, thank you for joining us. Thank you for gracing our event, our meeting today. We hope to see you soon. Thank you, Betty.
Thank you.
Now, Paul Kimani, what do you do if you're not thinking about Workpay? And your last remarks to everyone watching today.
Man, it's not possible for me not to think about Workpay. So I think about Workpay, but anyway. So I'm really close with my family. So I try to really set up some time to be there with my family. I have a daughter, a son who just turned 6 months last month. So my family is quite young. And they sacrifice a lot for me to be able to build this venture. So they understand when I'm not there for them. So most of the time when I'm not building for or thinking about Workpay, which is again very hard, I'm there with my family. I'm also really, I read a lot. I like reading because that's the only way that I believe that you're able to avoid mistakes that you could encounter in your journey. Because one of the things that I would say, probably as part of my final remarks, is that when you're building a business, especially when you have not done it before, which is what happens for most people, is that you find yourself doing so many things. Like you have to, myself, I'm a technical person, I'm an electrical engineer. I have zero idea how to sell, but I have to sell. I don't know about finance. I have to understand the finance about my company. Pitching is a headache to me to go and pitch there to investors. I have to do it. All the aspects of the business, you as a CEO, as a founder, you have to actually figure out or find a way around that. So I read a lot in terms of trying to understand how businesses or other founders have done it before. Greats I've read from people from Steve Jobs. I just finished a book by Anderson, one of the greatest VCs in the world. It's called Hard Things About Hard Things, when there are no easy options. And you go through that book and like it speaks to you things that you are going every day. And the beauty is that it doesn't tell you that things are going to be easy. It just tells you or share their stories on how they go about it. My very final remark is that entrepreneurship is hard. Entrepreneurship takes time. Entrepreneurship needs a lot of courage. And this thing Dashan has really been talking about it in terms of don't think about 3 months, 6 months. If you're getting into entrepreneurship and you want to really build a business, understand that this like sort of might turn out to be a lifelong journey for you that you are probably going to be engaged in, or probably is going to be your next 10 years. You're going to invest in this thing, your early years or your most active years. Maybe if you're in 20s, by the time you get to 40s, you are still trying to build this thing. Probably it will have been successful or not. There are no guarantees, but it's going to take time. It's going to require you to make a really courageous decision on the way. But I think at the end of the day, it's worthwhile. Finally, to me, my belief is that the most important thing is not the destination, is the journey. So as you are building, make fun, enjoy whatever makes you happy, do it along the way, because you might get to the final, or you get to the end and you ask yourself, why was I doing all this? Let's say tomorrow I get acquired, I IPO, let's say you have 1 billion shillings in your account, and then you ask yourself, what next? So you have to enjoy the process, whatever that means to you, whatever fun means to you, you have to figure out how to do it during the process, because you don't know how long it's going to take. Thank you again, Amasi and your team. I really appreciate you guys having me.
Thank you so much, Paul. I don't know if I should say happy half birthday to your daughter, if that applies. Once again, thank you so much. Entrepreneurship takes time. Entrepreneurship needs a lot of courage, ladies and gentlemen. Paul Kimani. And finally, Dashan Chandaria. You love cars. I know you love cars. Tell us more about that. What do you do if you're not thinking about Chandaria Industries? And give us your closing remarks. Please, Dashan.
I do love cars, right? So I'm either driving or thinking about the next one I'm going to buy. I love good food. So I'm constantly looking for new recipes. I've actually started getting into the kitchen and cooking myself just to achieve the taste I want. I'm networking with people. So, now it's more digital, just connecting with people. I love, watching documentaries. I just love watching informative stuff on leadership, on, places to travel, places to see around the world. And if I'm not doing any of those things, then I'm looking for more work to do, basically. Looking at the next venture, looking at what more I can do at Chandaria Industries, which next business I'm going to start. And I think I totally agree. I totally agree with what Paul and Betty have said. This is not an easy journey. It's not just like, let me wake up in the morning, make my cup of coffee and drink it. Along the way, you're going to fall out of bed. Your coffee isn't going to taste good. The coffee might not even be there, Entrepreneurship, is not for the faint-hearted, but when you get onto it, you commit yourself, And once you start tasting success in whatever that looks like for you, you won't stop. It's just a building block, and you just keep going and going and going. And I think, look, as the young people of this country, we are the future of this country. I think both Paul and Betty talked about this as well. If we aren't going to do it, who's going to do it? What is going to happen to the Kenya of tomorrow? What will, our children and grandchildren say? What did we, create as a legacy for them to look up to, for, them to be inspired by? So the time is now, and we have to do it. Nobody else is going to do it for us. And thank you so much for having me here. I love talking to young people. It was a great panel. I love sharing it with Paul and Betty, and I look forward to interacting with you whenever the opportunity comes up again.
Thank you so much to all our three panelists for making time today. We are so grateful and privileged to have you grace our event today. Speaking of networking, Deshan, so to our three panelists, maybe you can share if any of our viewers and also future viewers, because we will keep the video on our YouTube channel. So how can people get you? How can people reach you? Do you plan on mentoring? Do you plan on writing a book? So yeah, such thoughts. Dashan, then Betty, then Paul.
No, for sure. So I think, I can be quite easily reached, through my PA, because I'm also on the move, I'm always in meetings. And, it's very simple. Maybe I'll just write a message on the group. It's just pa3@chendaria.com. My name is Jane. You can reach out to me. I'm pretty active on my social media platforms as well. So, you'll often get a response from me there. But I think if you're pitching a business idea, which in my case is, a lot of people asking for advice or pitching a business idea, yeah, just write through, this email address, the proposal will come to me and the team for review. Am I thinking about writing a book? I don't think I will just yet. I definitely will write a book in my life, because I think I'm only halfway through the chapters in my life, if halfway, maybe only 30%, right? So I want to feel like I'm at 80% through the chapters of my life to be able to write a very effective book. And I think, what I would really like to encourage, all of us here today is, in whatever way you can, please, act as inspiration for the rest of the youth of this country, right? When we have more people working harder, creating positive impact on society, we will just create a culture where people will start to see that, look, to be successful, I need to think long term, I need to think sustainably, I need to behave like this, and these are the things I need to do. And I think that's what we really need in this country, right? We need a bit of a change for young people to say, look, I've got something to look forward to, I'm going to do it, and more people are doing it, so I should join, the herd in getting this done. Thank you.
Betty and Paul?
Yeah, so for me, so I get a lot of DMs, my goodness. But for me, imagine Instagram is normally the best way, the easiest way. Of course, I have an email address, bettykyalo@gmail.com. I think it's known out there. But I think for me, I've actually created a lot of networks on Instagram. I actually, in my free time, I actually read the DMs. I actually read my DMs, as much as there's so many. But for me, on a personal level, it should be Instagram. But if you want an official communication line, then bettykyalo@gmail.com. That's my email address. You can email me, then my PA will be able to vet. Then they can be able to help you, in one way or another. So, or I'm always at Flair. There's so many young guys who come here and they just wait for me here, but they're at Flair right now. So feel free to just pop in. Sometimes I could be very busy, but if you're patient, I think it will pay. What else? So am I writing a book? Yeah, I'm going to write a book, definitely. My life is just, as you know, the kind of interests, I've had, along the way, not even business, even just on a personal level. I think I have a lot to give. I have a lot to give. I have a lot to communicate. I have a lot of things, myths to bust. I have a lot of, there's so many things I'd want to change, deep perceptions to change. So I'm definitely going to write a book. Maybe not now, at least let me get to 40. Then I can say, okay, maybe for my 40th birthday, that's what I'm going to give out to the world. But for now, I'm thinking about it. But I would really love to write a book, which I think I will. Yeah.
The commentary to Dashan was that you're a third generation. So despite being young, they feel you should write one now.
Yeah.
Paul, you may let us know your thoughts.
Yeah, so for me, I'm pretty active on LinkedIn. So I answer all my messages. Like even if it takes a day, 2 days, trust me, I'm going to get back to you. So Paul Kimani, can check me out on LinkedIn. Also my email, paul@workpay.co.ke. You can actually share with your audience if someone has anything, and also try to answer them personally as soon as I can. In terms of writing a book, I've never actually thought about it. What I've always thought about is creating sort of a digital resource for where I could share our story and also give other people opportunities for them to be able to do so. In line with that, there's a series that I've been running called Founder Series. We have been hosting founders across the continent, just coming to sharing their building stories on how they've been doing it. We had the CEO of one of the most successful startups in Africa called Pezetu, that was acquired by an American company last month, looking to host the CEO of Flutter sometimes in the month or early next month. So I think that's how I see adding value. But of course, with age, things change. Probably by the time I'm also 40, there'll be an opportunity for me to write a book. But in the meantime, where I see opportunities are just creating or using the channels that are there to amplify our story and also give people an opportunity through our network to be able to also tell their story. I think the reach is bigger and more in that aspect, but I cannot rule out a book in the long run.
Great. Wow, that is quite inspiring. Once again, I want to say a big thank you from our partners, Workpay Africa, ISA International School of Advertisement, FISA UON, the Finance and Investment Students Association at University of Nairobi, and KUSLA, the Kenya University's Female Student Leaders Association. I can't stop stressing this enough. I must say that with such young, brilliant entrepreneurs, I think the future is bright for us as young people. And I must say, I'm really proud to be part of this generation. Once again, thank you, Paul Kimani. Thank you, Deshan Chandaria. And thank you, Betty Kialo. I think I yield the floor back to Masinyaga to now do the final conclusion, rather. Over to you, Masi.
Thank you so much, Ben, for being a lovely moderator of the day.
To
all those who are watching us live, thank you for tuning in. I can see still 80% are still on, and more questions can definitely be sent to us through hello@pezetu.com. We will be sharing the details for our panelists as shared on our own social media. So do follow us, Pezetu KE, Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter. You can definitely DM, like Betty says, and we will definitely keep reaching out. For those who are asking if this is the last of webinars, definitely not. Pezetu is here to stay, and there will be a lot more content. Of course, we've run out of time, but the questions are so many. I think we've tried to cover as many in general, and do continue to follow our handles and you'll be able to know about the next set of webinars. To our panelists, we are so grateful. Thank you so much for taking time. I would like now to invite Dawn, if you're still on, Dawn from Strathmore, to give the vote of thanks and we can close.
All right, thank you so much everyone for joining in. As you have said, we thank our online viewers. They are the future. Since they came to this session, they possibly will learn a lot of things from this. I would like to thank our panelists. We have here Paul Kimani, of which through his experience, we've learned that we need to have a vision for our business, and they have both emphasized about building our networks very seriously. I would also like to thank Betty Chalo. I love what she has told us today. She has given us a challenge to get out of our comfort zones. Get out of your comfort zone and go for what you want. Finally, from the panelists, I'd like to thank Darshan for coming here. It has been an opportunity to have you here, and I'm grateful for all that you have taught us. Put our business first, among many others. Moving forward, our partners in this session, Workpay Africa, which is a payroll and HR solution firm. I would also like to thank ISA, which is International School of Advertisement, FISA, which is Finance and Investment Students Association. This is from the University of Nairobi. And mostly I would like to thank the ladies, which is Kenya University Student Leaders Female Association, for being part of our partners. Finally, our organizers, which is SWITSA. This is the Strathmore University IT Student Association, and Pezetu, which is an organization mainly aimed at empowering young adults and millennials. So with all that has been said today, I would like to challenge all our viewers. There is a site called Future Me. It could send you an email around 1 year, 3 years from now. So go there, send yourself an email, and thank yourself for attending this session, because I know that through this, you will learn a lot of things, and also thank yourself for starting your business and achieving what you will have achieved at that time. So with all that said and done, thank you everyone, and that's all from me.
Ben, you may now close.
Oh, sure. There's a lot of gratitude going around, but I think that's it for now. Thank you once again. I can't stop stressing that further. Thank you so much for gracing my meeting today, and we hope to see you soon, very soon. Thank you, Beatty, for the smile. Thank you, Paul Kimani, for the inspiration. Thank you, Deshaun, for what you're doing for the young people in our country. Thank you so much, and you may all live at your own will. Asanteni sana.
Just quickly, I think on behalf of the panel and everybody present, we'd like to thank Benson and Mercy for putting this together. It wouldn't have been possible without you. So thank you very much.
I really much appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Okay, I think Ben, as the host, you can now close the meeting. Thanks, everyone. Enjoy the rest of your evening and
Bye-bye.
weekend.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Goodbye.